Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Here we are. We have a few people already and more are coming. So, hello, Charles. Hello, Gun, Henry, Jacob, Mukund. I would say Shin, Sweat and Walter. Okay, great. I am sharing the screen, not to waste your time, and I'm starting right away. And we go to our regular program. I apologize for kind of minor interruptions, but we're back. And today is the 27th. For those people who are new to that is the file that is a kind of webinar run. I call it a run file, and it has all that we did. So today, this is what we're doing. And before, scroll down and you will see more than 2 years of what we were doing. And with that, you see that it's advances in AI. The difference between other very numerous, maybe podcasts or broadcasts about that is that I try everything. When I see the course, I download it, I make it work in my environment, and when I see a course, I take it. Okay, now a little chat here. I see hello from Greg in Los Angeles. Good to hear from you, Mark. Thank you, Greg. And you guys can do the same. You can say, I can say hello from Houston, Texas. That is the place. And I knew about Texas back when I was in Russia, and I knew that in Texas, everything is so big for that. For example, when you buy 12 oranges, you get 9, just because they're so big anyway. And we can continue. And by the way, there is a sticker that I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as soon as I possibly could. That kind of applies to me. Now that we know where you are, well, at least you know where I am. You can tell me where you are. I'll tell you what else is in this file. So the file itself is this bit.ly link. So I'm giving you that on chat. You can click on that to open, or you can type it because it's a bit.ly link. And then you find my name, Mark, you find the webinar folder. That's where all the additional materials are stored if they are needed. And that is the very common question that comes up. I want to, okay, hi Gayatri. So another hello from Houston, from Jacob. So if you want to know, I want to be current. I want to know what it is, this AI. You click here. This is what I call a learning path. And what we have here, that's an open link, by the way. What you have here is courses and educational. So that's definitely educational. And you see how many I have. So it's about 66 by now. With every week, we get one more, at least one more, but very often you get 2 more and sometimes even 3 more. So I'll be talking about the latest. But we will also be talking about what's going on and what I see. So the first thing I'll tell you what's going on, because you remember that I'm a trainer. So what's going on with training, and especially training in AI? I'll tell you, finally, it kind of the dam broke and the flood is upon us, at least upon the training, because up until now, well, everybody was doing AI, yes, but nobody was training AI. Now I get all kinds of unusual requests, like my channels and channel, I call those people who resell the training. They come back with, could you give us a couple courses that will look just like that? And what I discover is that there is a whole sea of courses. Google, and you will see that. So with that whole sea, people finally, well, not nice to say, but they finally get drowned and get lost. and they don't know what to do and what to go. Let's say just recently I got a request, and request said, could you please come to well, that's a country far off, like Australia, and teach our, let's say, 75 programmers AI. Well, the next day, because he heard, the guy obviously heard something, the managers wake up and they hear something, and what they hear is that productivity of programmers rises 50%. So essentially, he says, I can fire 50% of my developers, and that is what everybody is saying. Well, I tell them, but wait a second, there are courses online. And then I realized that what's going on is that very often, yes, there are courses online. They tried that. They bought the subscription to Coursera. They bought subscription to what the training site. In any case, it doesn't work because people like instructor-led training. At least a group of people likes that. That's what's going on in the world right now. And the first that I will look at is a new course. It's called Generative AI for software development skills certificate. But notice, generative AI for software. So what we're talking about is that developers will use AI and they will know how to do it. And they will get a certificate. What is interesting about this course are a few details. So let's start. Let's first go to the link. So that is a 3-course series. You see badly formatted description of what it is about, but keep in mind 70% adoption by 2027. So all the right hot keywords. And that I think is going there to Coursera. All right. What we see is an interesting trend. Now, I, as the one who is in that all the time, I know this guy. This is Lawrence Moroney, and he was lead at Google. He was training for Google, but now it's not. He left Google, and he is teaching, well, for Coursera, or he has his own training company, and it's very interesting to see. So what models are they using? Let's go there. Well, as it turns out, he prepared a certificate in AI. And, okay, he is an award-winning artificial intelligence. He liked to play this trick. He said, well, it's so easy to use machine learning that even I can do it. And I couldn't believe it quite because he was a Google hired employee. So probably he was something not the regular person who can do it. But right now, he teaches, as they say, already millions as part of maybe deep learning AI. And I'm sure there is something about him personally, Lawrence Moroney. That's what it is. But what we are interested in practically is that all these 4 courses are something to do with his program. Now, his program is a certificate in AI. How is that possible? How is it created? Well, he just called himself that way. You create something that you call a certificate, and who gives you the kind of accreditation? Well, Coursera will give you the accreditation. It will look good enough. If so, well, let's go to the course. And go to the course. I'm showing you just the outline because I'll show you some pictures. Well, from now on, it's my own personal opinion. So what you see there is just, guys, open ChatGPT. Note, he is not with ChatGPT, but he is not with Google anymore. So he used the ChatGPT. Now, that is the common trend. The common trend is to really use ChatGPT because it is the best, even though Anthropic claims that they are better, even though Facebook claims that they are better with their Llama, but practically everybody still uses ChatGPT. And essentially, he says, well, just open ChatGPT and give him the code. So let me give you some pictures. Rather than going There you go. So first he says, let's say you want to start designing your project. And with that project, you have a whole bunch of questions. Which language are we going to use? What framework are we going to use? Frameworks are important. The choice of frameworks will then influence your software development. Now, do I sound obvious? Yes. And that is the course. The course is just open ChatGPT, but you need the course, you need the certification. So it goes like that. It says, after all of that, after friendly brainstorming in an office, just open ChatGPT window and tell him, well, I'm an expert in software development. I'm preparing to create a simple and so on. Tell him the whole story. And by now, you can tell him really the whole story. That means I think a 300 pages book is acceptable. Therefore, what you do is then what comes back? Well, what comes back is he begins talking about all different software ideas, all different things that worked for people. And if you keep listening right there, right, it comes to configuration-driven development. Well, I apologize if I'm wrong, but the configuration-driven development had another name, and it was injection. So you create a code, and then you inject a dependency injection, and that was how it was called. But look, that's not anything groundbreaking, right? It is a good injection, configuration injection strategy, and that's part of, do you remember? Let me ask you this question. Do you remember frameworks with dependency injection? Question mark. Okay, does anybody remember any framework with dependency injection that made it famous? Spring, exactly. Great, Jay. Thank you. So that is what he says the ChatGPT tells you to do, and you do it, and you start saying, okay, now explain to me a bit in more detail. And then when you get that, look, I'm maybe not comfortable, so give me some example. So, okay, it begins to talk about configuration-driven development, and then it says, if you know how to code, that's what is enough for you, and so on. So that's the course. If you take that course, here I am. No, that's our webinar. That's the course. So if you take that course and 3 courses to go with it and pay $49 and maybe 75 because they usually give you a certificate for more money, then you will be an officially certified AI-driven developer. Now, that's exactly what I told you, that the request that came yesterday said, wouldn't you go to kind of Australia and teach 75 people? And I will tell you what happens, because I told them, here is a course that you could take. Now, if it is a enterprise training, then of course I can do it. So very interesting what will work here. But that was my discussion of what's going on in training. Same way, Andrew Ng is very excited about training. He says that, you know, just 2 weeks ago, he said he changed his mind about the necessity of coding. And he says, you must code, not because it's beneficial to you, but because it's so easy. It's such a low-hanging fruit that you cannot refuse, cannot not have it. That is the phrase. So, if so, let's look further. So here we are, advances, and we looked at that certificate, and I told you who teaches that, what does that certificate give you, and the next step is, Well, Copilot. Copilot is kind of along the same way. In other words, I do it all the time. For example, just yesterday I was teaching intermediate Python course. And that is a big course that I combined out of multiple labs and slides. And by now it's baked and we have it. But what we didn't have are the labs. And I go to the labs and I discovered that our solutions are a copy of our original labs with all the questions and all the to-do for students, still questions and still to-do for the students. So I'm lost. And we're coming up to that lab. And breaking out the solutions is practically not feasible. I will also tell you my personal take. Don't tell anybody, but I feel that is so stupid. That is just coding exercise. And really what I should be teaching you guys is just open AI. But that wouldn't go well with the course. So I open AI. I paste the complete lab with all the questions, all of the students to-do items. What comes back after less than 1 second is a complete solution. So I put it into my repository that is called Labs Solutions and commit it and tell my students there. That's the complete solution. So if you cannot figure it out on your own, then well, look at the solutions. What I really wanted to tell them is that if you cannot figure out on your own, just ask ChatGPT, because that's who I asked just a minute ago. Okay, I already said that won't go well. Now, Andrew Ng created 4 courses, and we were talking about them last time. Here was the 3rd and 4th course that he teaches AI with Python. What he really teaches is Python, but they have already created the UI, and their UI includes what they call Coach. So if you have not seen Coach, then one can go to any of the Coursera courses and look at Coach. Let me go to Copilot because I'll be talking about that anyway. But first, let's look at what it looks like at Coursera with the Copilot. Now, that's Coursera, that's course by Microsoft, and I noticed that by now you can find other companies, competitors on Coursera. So they did manage to create a hub where everybody else publishes their courses. And here is the course by Microsoft. We'll go into this later, but right now what you see is that. Let's chat. Well, that's part of AI right now. I'm not going to chat about that. No, I want to chat, let's say about that. So the first thing that he does is just open VS Code. They standardize on VS Code. I know that it works in IntelliJ also, but I haven't tried it. I know there are also integration problems. You see that once you go there, people are very vehement about not having the proper AI in IntelliJ. So they standardize on VS Code because besides that's Microsoft, you would expect that. But that's what I wanted to show. Now it's out of beta. Before I had it, other people didn't. Now everybody has it. And it says, just explain that to me in simple terms. Clicking on that. I didn't count, but that was 2 seconds. Explaining that in simple terms. So if you just want to know, you quickly look at it. If you want to be a trainer, you can tell it, give me slides. Because that's the favorite way how trainers work. And there you are. It says, I'm sorry, he says, I cannot give you slides. I am a text-based. Okay, all right, forget about it. Go to ChatGPT. Pick it up from them. You just gave me a text. Here, you said that's the summary. So copy that. Ask ChatGPT, it's not a text-based. And now say, give me PowerPoint slides on that. What comes back is usually not a very polished bunch of slides, and not smart, and not perfect. But after all, they are slides. And how long does it take me personally to create a slide deck? I think it's about 3 minutes per slide on the average. So sometimes I would create maybe 20 slides during the whole day because you also keep learning. And now it's taking its sweet 15 seconds. And there you are. I created the PowerPoint slides. Let's download them. Here are the downloaded slides. Let's look at them. That's the style. But for those people who like slides, they get it all. So, two facts. Fact number one is that, and I see the comments, I'm very interested in what you say, but this Coursera has implemented what I was calling AI tutor, because that's exactly what I wanted it to do. I wanted that AI tutor to maintain a conversation when the teacher is offline and give you these predefined buttons. Another thing that I wanted, and you see that's implemented here, but it's okay. I can still do it. In fact, I convinced Amazon that it's a great idea and they should implement it for me, and they did. And now they're coming with another team to continue the development. Well, maybe that will happen. But the other part of my work as a trainer is that I get requests from channels and from those people who control the clients. And they tell me, Mark, we are working on a 10-course proposal for a new company. Will you do it? Well, before I would say, no, I'll have to pass. And now I think, okay, my AI will do it. And my AI tutor, as I call it, will get another task to create them. But wait, story continues. So I answer yes. They go on and submit a bid. I'm waiting for what will happen in the areas that I honestly don't tell them, but I don't quite know. So I'm waiting and I'm investigating. Meanwhile, every task that I have as a trainer, I just open ChatGPT and it does it for me. And then I realize it shouldn't be part of my AI tutor. It's so easy that who am I to put yet another layer between you or me and then the result? It just goes straight to AI. So essentially what you need now is rules of good behavior. And that is what these courses all teach you. That is what I'm showing here. These are all courses, and that's the end of my harangue or talk or however you call it, a long speech. It's all these courses just thinly dress the fact that they're teaching you, please whip up ChatGPT. Now, you would agree to me that ChatGPT is in a precarious balance because they keep spending 8 billion a year and they make 3 billion a year. My wife told me they just found another, I think, 15 billion a year. Oh, they found another 15 billion. Well, an investment, not that they found it somewhere in the pocket. But you would be very nervous about how you're building on that. But by now, there are many competitors. They will take over. What I want to say is that, guys, use ChatGPT. It's nice and easy. But there will be a place for us all. And that place will be in the new application. New use cases. That's what works magic. That's how I convinced Amazon in anything. Now that I told you the major things, and before I even told you what I think about AI tutor, kind of dropping it right now because there is no need to be between ChatGPT and you. And I only want to also talk about this new interesting course from, well, it's called WebA, Weights and Balances, or however you call it. Before I talk about it, I want to look in your questions and address them. Okay, Greg Makovsky says, on coding coaches versus based LLM, is there a parameter to not use your code for your company, for training, or for other people to use? This is a question company manager want to know. That is a great question. And right there in the, not tutor, they call it coach. The first thing that the coach tells you is that we are not going to use your code for training. So don't worry. Now, if you don't believe that, and many people rightly don't believe that, well, I'll give them a private implementation. Don't use ChatGPT. Just download Llama and construct the whole system with the Llama. If you are serious, you probably have a little time to do your own private development. So just open another window, go with the Llama, and that will be local, guaranteed. Or there are other systems and they do more promises. I heard that Anthropic, with its Claude, or with its new brand Sonnet, it was for enterprise, so they probably took good care of secrecy. Now, of course, Greg adds that that's not a problem for code in the classes. Yes, because for classes, you don't show them your own code, you show just open source stuff or open lab. Yes. So I hope I answered that. And the answer is yes. And then I also see another question. No, that is not another question. Here's another question. I'm just making sure that there are no red things. Okay. Walter says, incredible amount of great information from University of Illinois in Austin, Texas. Share your issues with poor courses like EDX and the like. Yes, totally yes, Walter. I agree. There is an article that will be very interesting for you if you're coming out of the university. Is that from Electrical Engineering magazine. And it says, I have a study here, the author has a study that goes through universities, the major ones like Princeton and Stanford. And how do they teach coding today, knowing that today you can always ask AI? So fact number one, you should ask AI. Otherwise, something is very wrong. Plagiarism is not good for high school essay, but it's very good for coding. Number two, now that you can always ask AI, how do you change your teaching style? And the answer that they give, that's what universities are doing. They concentrate on architecture. That is where high-level thinking, well, forever or for right now, but humans are much better. So you teach people the architecture and how to reason. They still need to code, but they don't have to waste the time to just say it's a comma or a dot. That should be taken care of by the ChatGPT. So number one was you teach people architecture. Number two, it says you teach people testing. You tell the overall design to the system. Also tell how do you test that that's right. But I like it so much. I mean, your question, that's what I like so much, that I'm copying that because I know that it will disappear somewhere. And I really want to here put it and save it. I'll write you so that we can talk more. So that is what we have here. And now that I got your reaction, guys, thank you for that. I want to go to this new thing. What is that thing? That deserves to be put into the learning path. You remember I have this learning path of 20, no, it's 68 courses by now, which I think all essential. There's no overlap. They may be teaching the same thing in different technology, but then it's different technology. So that is what this course is about. By the way, it is from a company that's talking about weights and balances. And the meaning of that is that it's just an invented term. What they really mean is that take it into production. So we all can do a POC, proof of concept. You can ask ChatGPT to do it for you. But now that you are taking it in the real world with all the hooks into your own data and into your own problem, and you know the vertical, super important. That's what they do now. They give you a framework, and that is what they cover here. So first they tell you how great they are, and it's called the WAND bot. Next, they say, now look at your system, it doesn't work, kind of evaluation. Now let's look specifically at how do you read that data and is there any problem there? How can you ask a better question of your data? And mostly is how does our or their system help you measure the performance? I'm pausing here because that's super important, measuring the performance. When you're doing a POC and just running a little notebook, well, you don't measure the performance, especially the quality performance. But they say if you are working in a group of people and they all disagree on how exactly their system works, that's where it becomes serious and real. And that's where the customers also become serious and real. That's the whole outline, the outline of the course. And that is the course itself, and I tell you what is notable about that. What's notable about that is the URL. So look at the WNDB, WNB, weights and the balances, but that's now the course published under their own brand. That's the first time. Before they used to publish their courses on Coursera. By now they're quite known. They send a letter that says, we just finished our own conference for our own users, and here is the course, one of the courses. So now you can enroll it like that. I'm already enrolled, and you can see, I think that's one of their first courses. So let's say resume the course. And
you will have a brief URL.
Okay, and he just explains how you use the tools. I think his accent proves the point. You absolutely must have a good, strong accent. Otherwise, you're not a program. There was a time in music when all of the United States was taken over by Russian musicians. And therefore, people imitated the Russian accent, because if you don't have a Russian accent, you are not a musician. That was the time of Rachmaninoff and, let's say, the Ilk and Stravinsky. But now, in the programming world, you must have a good, almost incomprehensible accent, which I'm getting there, okay? All right, that's it. That's what I wanted to say. I'm looking in your comments. And if you want to talk, just tell me, because I usually don't give you the mic, but that's just because we were attacked by bots once. Now Greg says, the way you can ask the LLM to summarize a document, can you ask it to summarize the code, the code architecture? I know something to answer, but let me read to the end. If you can do that, can you do the reverse? Start with a code architecture diagram or specific syntax to generate code, any particular example? I'll say that's a great question and partial answer to start. I heard the latest announcement from the Facebook, from Llama, and they tell us that Llama can now see. I think that's yesterday. It can see, really what they mean is it can understand diagrams. So I would guess that it can understand architectural diagrams and convert them to code. Let's do this. Usually we take those questions from the audience and we put them in the kind of things to do. So here you are. And that will be, what will be after September 27th? That will be October 4. I don't quite remember the calendar, but I think we do have. So October 4. Good question, and I will try to do that. I'll try to go into the architectural diagram. Could you offer a comment? Whether you're Llama or ChatGPT, really ChatGPT today, it doesn't understand the diagram. So that reminds me of the famous, when you are a beer company, then you say, well, we wash our beer cans in a special way. I remember, and that was a big campaign, but everybody washes them the same way. Yes, but who stops you from putting that into your advertisement and telling that you are doing it, whether you imply or not that the other ones don't do it? That's an open question. All right, but in any case, that's what Llama does, and probably the other ones. Now, Greg, if you want to send me some kind of example diagram, good. If not, I'm sure the same ChatGPT will give me a diagram. All right, so thank you very, very much. We're back on track, and I'm very happy that you're all here. And I think we are kind of having our regulars. That's wonderful to see you guys. So I wish you all the best, a great week and a great year, and be well.